Oh, hello, Metalhawk-san. Glad you could join us here on our channel. You didn't happen to bring some sushi with you, did ya? Hello, everybody. Sparkster1701 here. And we're taking a look at another Legacy Evolution figure. And another one that's had a lot of history in the series, but made seldom few appearances outside of Japan. This is Metalhawk. Now, to help educate those of you who may not be aware of this character, especially you Generation 1 fans, Metalhawk was a Pretender character. He appeared in the animated series Super God MasterForce, and was the only one of the Autobot Pretenders to never get an overseas release. There's never really been an explanation as to why Metalhawk was given the short end of the stick. It was probably due to the fact that Hasbro at the time was trying to keep the Pretender line equal. That's why we had 12 regular-sized Pretender figures, which would have been the same class Metalhawk appeared in. So adding him would have made a 13th, and well, 13's an unlucky number anyways, so I guess Hasbro really didn't want to jinx it. But why Metalhawk was given the axe is really not known. As stated earlier, Metalhawk did appear in the Super God MasterForce anime. He was the leader of the Autobot Pretenders at that time. So he was basically in charge of the Pretenders that were known in America as Cloudburst, Landmine, and Wave Rider. Metalhawk would take on a human appearance, as he did have sort of space-like armor like the other Pretender Autobots did. But he also would appear in a business suit, and he mingled in with human society. During his affairs that he conducted there, he became friends with the father of the character of Ghost Shooter that we mentioned in a previous video. So that also meant he befriended Ghost Shooter's pals, most notably Cab, and of course, Minerva. In fact, Metalhawk was the one that did arrange for the Transector bodies to be brought down so that Ghost Shooter, Minerva, and Cab could join the fight, as they were somewhat intrigued by the idea of fighting off the Decepticons, especially to ensure that their homeworld would not fall to the Decepticons. Metalhawk's position as leader of the group would eventually get supplanted when they brought along Ginrai and the other Godmasters, who were released in America under the Power Masters name. So, Metalhawk's role after that just kind of slipped into the background for a fair amount of the episodes. And as we stated, unfortunately, Metalhawk's been one of those that's very seldom made outside appearances from Japan. So he did get a toy in the Generation 1 era, which was somewhat loosely based on his animated appearance. The next time that Metalhawk would get a figure would be during the Power of the Primes line, where his armor would be used as a disguise for one of the Prime Masters. So this version right here is not only the third version of Metalhawk to be released, but probably the best version of him to be done, since this one is done up to be a little more closer to his cartoon appearance. But those of you who have been collecting a lot of the modern Transformers, you'll find that he borrows a lot of the design elements from Cyclonus, which isn't a bad thing in this case. I kind of applaud it, as it is a way to bring a character that's not really gotten a lot of screen time into the forefront. Because there was, around the time that Metalhawk here was released, there was an article on the internet talking about him, and was pretty much being done to introduce fans to this character. Let's get Minerva out of the way here. And we'll take a good look here at Metalhawk's accessories, starting with his sword. He's got a rather nice large blade here. You can see it's got a slender blade in the middle, and then it expands outward to be this large arrowhead-shaped blade. There's a little cable here made of plastic along the side of it, so kind of hints that part of the sword may be energon-based, but it is hard to say. All I know is that it does look pretty good. And then next up, we have his gun. As you can see, it's done up as a double-barreled gun, but as you can probably tell by the split in it, it is meant to be two separate pieces. But you can combine it so that way he can hold both of his weapons at the same time. Although he does have storage for either one of the guns or the sword. As you can see, there is a hole prominently featured on his back. And there is a small peg here on the one side of the sword. So you could put the sword on his back, and we can go with the dual gun look. Even though most firearms people will tell you this is ridiculous, but that actually doesn't look too bad on him, all things saying. Anyway, let's get the weapons off of him, and we'll take a brief look here at Metalhawk's articulation. His head can be turned from side to side, and it is on a small ball joint. It will rock up and down a bit. You can raise his arms up about so far, and they do rotate at the shoulder all the way around. Just have to watch that this lower bit of plastic doesn't collide with the body. His arms do bend at the elbow 90 degrees, and he does have a swivel at the bicep, so he has G.I. Joe battle grip. Metalhawk can be twisted at his hips, so he's got some dance moves going. He ought to if he's going to be hanging around with young kids. You spread the legs apart about so far. You can spread the legs apart into a full splits. Metalhawk does have a thigh cut. With only the wing, with only these tail fins here kind of getting in the way, but otherwise it's not bad. You can raise his legs at the hip 90 degrees, and you can bend him at the knee 90 degrees. So all in all, Metalhawk does have good articulation. Alright, let's transform Metalhawk now. The first thing we do to get him done is we got to fold his hands inside his forearms. Just like that. And we're going to turn him around here, because we're going to fold up and out his wings along the sides. And go ahead and connect them to his forearms. You see there's a little post here at the bottom of the wing, and it will line up with this hole right here on the forearm. So make sure the forearms are good and straight as you line them up and connect them in. Just like that. So now we're going to turn him around to face us. We're going to pop open his chest plate. There we go. Pop the chest open and fold it down. Then, with that out of the way, you can fold the shoulders back, like so. And once you've done that, his back piece should pop free. And then you can fold it down too. So that way it's all unfolded. And then now we'll rotate this piece that's inside, so it'll fold the head in. Get that out. And then of course, once we have that out, fold up the nose of the airplane. Get that locked into position. Then bring the chest back up and close it in. And then, of course, bring up the back so that gets locked into position now. So now once you've done that, we're going to come down here to his legs for a moment. The back side of his legs will lift up, like so. It's right next to the tail fins, so don't put any pressure on the tail fins. Once you've done that, get his feet folded in. Then fold out the extra blue plastic that was on those leg covers. Because then you're going to fold the leg covers back down. The excess should go over where the feet used to be. Straighten the legs out and connect them together. Now, once you've done that, come up here to the back. You're going to rotate the blue section so that it'll rotate his arms so they face the opposite way. Now, you'll bend him at the legs gently. As you'll see, there's a hole right here in this spot, and it should line up with this post at the top of his legs. Just wiggle that into place. And once it's connected, you can fold down the arms. And the excess plastic that was on the back side of his arm should connect to the body to form a nice snug connection to complete the look. And then here we are. Metalhawk is in his jet mode and slipped right out of my hand. All in all, it looks pretty good. And he does swoosh pretty good too, so that's always a nice thing. Now for the weapons, you'll notice here on the sides of the jet here at the back, there are some vertical slots, and those will line up with his guns. Of course, the fins on the gun should go upwards as well. You just got to get them plugged in real good. Don't mind the coughing in the background. There are other people around. And then, of course, you can attach his sword. But this time it connects differently. On the opposite side of where the post is, you'll see on the crossbar there's a couple of posts on it, and they will lock into these two holes here on the fuselage. Just push them down firmly, and there you go. Metalhawk is now in his jet form with all the weapons stored. And in reality, it looks pretty good. Getting down to my thoughts now, I'm very glad that we finally got a version of this beloved and, in many cases, forgotten character in the Transformers lore. I mean, names do get reused quite a bit in the Transformer saga, but this is one of them that's not really been covered a lot outside of Japan, so Longtime fans of the various media will probably be grateful to have this figure available, since as you can imagine, an original Metalhawk nowadays would cost a fair amount of money to get. I mean, after all, just refer to my video on Minerva, and that'll tell you about what she's running right now. But all in all, this is a rather decent figure. I'm not upset that he's a retool of Cyclonus. Normally I would be, but they really didn't borrow that much from Cyclonus. He transforms very similar to Cyclonus, but otherwise is still his own figure. And that much I can appreciate and enjoy. And I am glad to see that another Japanese exclusive from the 80s has gotten a modern update and is available for modern fans. At any rate, that's my review of the Legacy Evolution version of Metalhawk. I hope you all enjoyed it. And please do remember that if you like the content we feature on this channel, please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. This is Sparkster1701 saying I will catch you all later.